You're watching PEG RI-TV, Rhode Island's public access channel.
Good afternoon, folks, and welcome to a special edition of An Hour with Bob. This is special for me because this gentleman is a special man. He's one of very few that are still around. My father was in World War II in the Navy. This man, Salemi, here with me, he was in World War II also. And I'm going to read a little bit about him. He's 102 years old. He'll be 103 in June. And he joined the Army in 1943 in January and served through February 1946. And he's originally from New York City, but he presently resides in, I think, North Attleboro, Massachusetts, is it?
Yes.
Is it? Castor, I am honored to meet you.
Pleasure to meet you.
You have done something that very few people today can relate to. You were in the war,
Yes.
World War II,
Yes,
in the Army.
I was.
You was. And tough times too in the Army.
Yes, I was.
It was a bad time of the Army, right?
Yeah.
You were in a lot of battles. You were in the artillery, right?
Yes.
And you were close to the front lines, right?
About 5 miles.
That's
back.
pretty close.
Yeah.
That's pretty close.
Yeah. We were chasing Japanese all the way.
Always the Japanese, because you were in the Pacific, right?
Yes.
You weren't in the European theater.
No.
With the Germans, you were with the Japs,
Yes.
who I understand were more vicious than the Germans.
Yeah. Well, we fought in. We didn't fight in New Guinea too much because the Japanese had moved away up further west, and so we were in New Guinea there, just helping unload supplies and getting in preparation for the invasion of the Philippines.
Wow.
And I did make the initial landing in Luzon after MacArthur came out of Leyte. Then we went into Luzon, and I made the initial landing there. And quite a story from that time on.
Well, how was it? How old were you then?
21,
21 years old.
yeah,
Still a kid.
still a kid.
Still a kid. And got to the reality of war pretty quick, right?
Very quickly,
Yeah.
quickly, especially the first day. Our guy that carried the radio was shot the first day.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and we had a tank battle that first day, combat
A tank battle?
tank battle, and we knocked out the tanks with artillery. And I remember that day very clearly. I was in a foxhole,
Yep.
and it was raining, and the foxhole was filling up with water.
Oh my God.
And I said, "What am I doing here?" But I recovered, and from then on, we raced over toward Manila.
Right. Now, how far was that from from Luzon to
It's
Manila.
quite a jaunt, but
Right.
we fought all along the way. Went to Manila, but the Japanese had totally destroyed Manila at that time.
Really?
Yeah. And I have photographs in my album you can see.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
And then we took the highway that runs through the central Luzon and goes from Manila all the way to the north. And we chased the Japanese all the way up. And we were fighting up until August. From
Wow.
January to August, we fought the Japanese. And then we dropped a bomb at that time.
Right.
And the war was over. So,
Now, when did you find out the war was over? How should I say, how did you find out the war was over?
well, radios didn't work very well in the
Right.
jungles.
Yeah, I can imagine.
So I had to, my job was to wire, hardwire from the firing batteries to headquarters, who would give us the coordinates that we needed to aim our 105s at.
Right. That's a big howitzer, right? The 105?
It's a smaller howitzer. It's more mobile than the 155.
Oh, it's a 155, yes.
Which, by the way, when I say mobile, we had originally been issued full-track vehicles to pull our 105 howitzers, but they didn't do too well in the Philippines. They get stuck in the mud.
In the mud all the time,
And the
right?
rice paddies, they couldn't handle it.
Oh, no.
So we had to pull our guns with our Jeeps.
Wow.
Yep. And when we were very mobile. Yeah, we didn't stay in one spot too long.
And the Jeeps was because they were four-wheel drives, right?
Yeah, well, I don't know if they're four-wheel drive, but they were capable of pulling the cannons.
Wow. And once you got to the end of the war, right?
Yeah,
You were in the Philippines at the time?
yes.
And what was that like when they told you the war's over?
Well, we got all the, I don't know, say we, but the outfits pulled all the alcohol they could out of the medics and all the fruit juice they could find and had a big party.
Oh, I'll bet you did.
Yeah. But I have to go back a little bit, go back to when I was in New Guinea.
Yes.
New Guinea was hot and it was humid.
Right. Well, that part of the world is very hot and humid.
And it was all jungle. And most everybody got malaria.
Really?
I was one of the few that didn't because mosquitoes don't like me.
Lucky you.
Yeah, but I did get a fungus disease, which many did.
Right. Where, in
And,
your feet?
My feet and my hands. Yeah.
Yeah, they didn't vaccinate you guys before you went over there for malaria?
Well, we were taking pills. That only hides the symptoms, but you still have malaria.
Oh.
Okay, then, and some of them never knew they had malaria until they got home, and then
Right.
when they weren't taking the pills, the malaria took them out.
Well, you mean took them out, killed them?
No, it took them out. They were very sick.
Yeah, I'll bet.
Yeah,
I'll bet at the least.
yeah.
Now, did you ever get actually shot at? Have bullets flying by you?
Well, and when you say shot at, with small, let me put it this way. One night, the way we bring our 4 cannons in a line, and then we form a perimeter defense around it,
Right.
okay? And all of a sudden we hear this rumbling. And what the Japanese had done, they had taken a whole herd of water buffalo, the carabao,
What? Well, actually, a pretty smart idea. Go ahead.
and stampeded them toward us.
Yeah, yeah.
And they overran us.
Wow.
And we had to run for our lives, either hiding under the guns
Or on
wherever-
the gun. I'd
or
climb
wherever
up.
we can.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. But they didn't try to infiltrate us at all.
Wow.
But we did get some return artillery. They were on top of a mountain, and they were firing down at us at dusk. And one round landed in a foxhole that had all our cooks in it,
Oh, no.
killed all of them. So for a while there, we were living on canned food.
Nobody could cook. Wow, that's crazy.
Talking about food, when we landed in New Guinea, they issued us canned food, and it was canned bully beef from World War I.
Are you kidding me?
No, I'm not kidding you. So we lived on that for a couple of days until we got some good provisions.
Oh, can you imagine eating food from, oh my God, from the
You open a can of bully,
2018?
you open up a can of bully beef, and the palm trees would wilt.
Yeah, 1918, 1917.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
So how's your appetite now? Can you eat anything? Are you one of these now?
No, I have a problem with my throat now, so
Yeah.
I'm being fed with a feeding tube.
Oh.
I'm on a liquid diet. But other than that, I'm pretty good.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you look good.
Yeah.
You look damn good. Now, we have a lot of medals here, and I'm going to go over. Can you mind if I go over a few?
Yeah, sure.
First off, I want to show this. This is your
My rank,
sergeant. This is you,
T4.
T4.
That is no longer a
Yeah, I know.
Class.
What do they call it now?
tech sergeant, I think.
Yep. And they call it a T4. What
Yeah.
is this right here? Artillery. This is your artillery.
Artillery pen, yes.
You got some beautiful pins here. What is this one? World War II. I can't see it. I just had eye surgery 2
Yeah.
days ago, by the way. So,
I think that's just
World
a
War II. Yeah.
commemorative pin.
What is this duck pin? What is that all about?
Oh, that's what they call a ruptured duck, and that signifies that you were in World War II.
Wow. There's not many years left.
That's my original dog tag.
I know, huh?
I had two. I don't know what happened to the other one. And
This is-
it's interesting. Interestingly enough, it's made out of brass. Most of them were made out of aluminum.
Yep, yep. Well, so this is heavier than
Yeah.
the brass ones, right? I mean, the aluminum ones. Yeah, this is pretty significant for anybody who was in the
Yeah.
service of any service, right?
Yeah,
This is a can opener?
that was the can opener. Yeah, it works well.
Really?
Yeah.
Open that 1918 can?
Yeah, you can with that.
I'm amazed at that. Open a 1918 can. United States Army. That's a beautiful pen.
Yeah.
Get a shot of that. All right, let's see what else we got. This is a Pacific campaign there,
Yes,
right?
that's
The Asia Pacific campaign?
Asian Pacific campaign. The two stars that are on it indicates I was in two campaigns, New Guinea and the Philippines.
Wow. And I know I've been about that part of the world in February and March, and it gets not only hot, it gets extremely humid.
Yeah, the humidity is terrible.
Oh
yes.
God, 100% humidity
Well-
and 100-degree weather. And on top of it, you got to wear a uniform and
Yes,
carry
and MacArthur says you must wear long sleeves and long pants
for the mosquitoes.
because of the mosquitoes. Yes,
And it's heavy.
and well,
The clothing was
Yeah.
thick, right? It was.
Yeah.
Was it wool or
no,
or
it
cotton?
was not wool. It was
cotton. And what do you got? American campaign.
Yeah, that's given to all the GIs.
Yeah. Now, service ribbon bar. Can you tell me what these are?
Well, they're the representative of the medals that you see below.
Oh, I get you. Oh, I see.
Yeah.
I see. Good conduct. So you're a good guy then,
Yeah.
right? Right? You wasn't a
Just
troublemaker.
stay out of trouble.
Yeah, you stayed out of trouble. See, I would have been in trouble. You stayed out of trouble.
Well, there wasn't much to make trouble with when you were in the jungle.
Well, this is true. This is true. This is true. And the World War II victory,
Yeah.
because you were there when they announced the victory over Japan.
Yeah, over Japan, yes,
That's quite significant.
yes.
That's quite significant. That's why it's an honor to have you even here. The greatest generation was your generation.
I'll have to tell you more about that.
Well, do it. I want you to.
I was commander at the of Chapter 90 Chapter 56 of the Disabled American Veterans, and I took a busload of disabled veterans to opening day of World War II Memorial in Washington.
Wow.
And we were there when that expression, the greatest generation,
Oh, really?
was made. Yeah.
Wow. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a wonderful day.
Now, have you done another flight? Have you done
I have done the honor flight.
a few years ago you did,
Yes.
right?
Yep.
I almost did it this year, but it didn't happen. Oh, here you go. Here's the Philippine,
Now, that's the Philippine ribbon, medal.
the Liberation Campaign, right?
Yeah. They never issued that. I had to buy that. We were only issued the ribbon.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But so I bought the medal.
Yep. Well, you deserved it. You earned it.
Yeah. Well, I sent for it, but they never sent for it. They never returned my request.
Really?
No.
Wow. And what do we got here? The merit. Oh, New York's from
That's
because
in
you're
New York
originally
State.
from.
Yeah.
You're originally from New York State.
Yeah.
Where?
I was inducted from New York State, so I was
Okay.
I had to go to Manhattan to get it inducted.
And where did you live back then when you were 20
I
years
was in
old?
Woodside, Queens, which
Okay.
is a borough of New York City.
Yeah, sure. And after that, you ended up in Long Island, I think you
Yeah,
said.
well, in Woodside, that's on Long Island.
Yep. And how'd you end up in Massachusetts?
Well, I worked for Sylvania Corporation at that time, and Sylvania then became General Telephone, and then General Telephone had offices in New York City,
Right.
and they were having problems with bomb threats and so forth. So they closed everything and moved to Massachusetts.
Wow.
And they asked me to go I worked in a research laboratory. And so we moved to Waltham, and they asked me to go along with them. So that's how I ended up in Massachusetts.
That's how you ended up in Massachusetts.
And then they became Verizon.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I actually retired from
From
Verizon.
Verizon.
Yeah.
How many years were you there?
39 years.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
So you hang around a long time, huh?
Yeah.
You stay around a long time.
Well, like I said, I worked in a research laboratory,
Yep.
and I couldn't wait to go to work in the morning. It was such an exciting experience.
Really?
Yeah. And I think that's part of my longevity,
Right.
being happy about what you do.
Of course. If you do something you like, it's not work. Right?
That's right.
It's when
Yeah.
you get up and go, oh, gotta go to
Yeah.
work today. You know, you're not gonna last very long,
Yeah.
right?
No, that's true.
So what is your secret to longevity,
Well, obviously, it's mostly genes.
right?
Everybody in my family live pretty long lives. Most of them live beyond 90.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's 3 times how long my father lived.
And-
My father died at 36.
And as an Italian, I don't drink hard alcohol.
No.
I drink a very little
Wine?
wine, only between friends, but I
Right.
never drink alone.
Good idea.
Yeah,
That's a good idea,
yeah.
by the way.
So
Yeah, to not drink alone, because drinking alone is where you get in trouble, right?
not having experienced that, I don't.
So you were you born in Italy?
No. My parents moved from Sicily
Right.
to New York. In fact, I don't think they were married when they met. They think they met on a boat coming over.
Wow.
And
produced you?
pardon?
And produced you on the
Yeah.
way over?
No, not on the way. They got married in New York City.
Yep.
Yeah. So we're 7 children,
Oh,
and 4 boys and 3 girls. And actually, the 4 boys were in World War II.
and that was before the Sullivan
Well,
Act?
3 of us were overseas. The 4th boy they
Oh.
wouldn't let go.
Right, because of
Yeah.
the Sullivan Act,
Because
right?
of the Sullivans, yes.
And for those that don't know what that is, the Sullivan Act, I don't know if they call it an act, but the Sullivan Decree, whatever it was called, it was because of was it 5 brothers or 4
There were,
brothers?
I forget how many brothers there were, but they were on one ship that was
And they all got
destroyed.
killed.
Then, yeah,
So then they,
yeah. Well, coming from being inducted, and then getting on a train and traveling on a rickety old train. I remember it had the old straw seats in it to Paris, Texas. He spent
right?
almost a year in training, and then we moved to San Francisco. Got on a ship and started went down along the coast, western coast of California,
Right.
to the equator, and then went straight across toward New Guinea, unescorted.
Unescorted. How many troops on that boat?
There were probably around 3,000.
Oh my God, what a hit that would have been for the
Yeah.
Japanese.
And
Unescorted.
the strangest part of it, totally surprising to us, it took 31 days to reach New Guinea before we saw land again.
Oh my God.
And no fresh water on board ship. So if you wanted to take a shower, you waited until it rained and you got out on deck.
Yeah, with some
You
soap.
took a shower. So it's not unusual to see 3,000 bare butts on
on deck.
the deck.
That's funny. That's funny. Well, those
So that
were
was
the days,
interesting.
huh?
Yeah. But then again, when we got to New Guinea, as we approached New Guinea, it looked beautiful. It was all green.
Right.
I said, and when
You
we
thought you were
got
on
there,
vacation. You thought you were going on vacation.
Yeah, right. And we unloaded, and we reached shore. We found out that green was what they call kunai grass, which is about 5 to 6 feet tall.
Wow.
So we had we had to use our bayonets or whatever knives.
Just to cut through.
Just to cut our way through.
Just to make
make a camp.
Wow.
Yeah.
3,000 troops.
Well, now, I don't know where all of them went. We were 1 battalion. So
Now, where were your guns? Were they on the same ship, or were they come over on another
they
ship?
came off the ship. Yep.
They were on that
Yep.
ship with you. How many guns were there?
Well, in the battalion there's 12.
So when you
Yeah.
lined up,
Each is 4, and there are 3 firing batteries, A, B, and C.
Yep.
And then we have a headquarters battery and a service battery.
And you remember all that.
Oh, yeah.
You remember all that like it
Yeah.
was yesterday, I'm sure, right?
I remember a lot.
You obviously do, Dan.
So then when it was time, we boarded a ship and made the initial landing in the Philippines.
How scary was that?
Pretty scary. Interestingly enough, and I don't know, since I was in charge of the wiring and all the communications for our battalion, our battery, I should say. I had everything on a truck. And as the ramp came down and the truck started to drive off, it just drove off and went into a sinkhole, and the whole thing disappeared in the ground, in the water.
Really?
So I had lost all the equipment.
Oh my God.
So we had to sit on the beach for 3 days till we got new equipment.
And that thing stayed there, right? That ended up in the sinkhole.
Yes. And then, as I said, we were headed toward Manila. Yeah.
And how long were you in Manila?
We didn't stay long because there was nothing there for us to fight.
Oh, that's right. Like you
Yeah,
said,
we were
they tore it
chasing.
apart, right?
We were chasing the Japanese at that point. Yeah. There were many Japanese, but you very rarely saw them during the daytime. They'd come out at night.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Crazy.
They knew they were losing the war at that time.
Did they? Yeah.
But they put a dent in us. We lost about 10% of our outfit.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I think some of the worst.
Artillery is pretty effective.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
There was one time in this valley.
Okay.
We were at two mountains, and we were in the valley, and the Japanese would fire on us and pull their guns back inside a cave, and we didn't know where they were. They'd fire on us, couldn't see them, couldn't hear, couldn't do anything about it at that point. So we took a small caliber gun, I think it was about a 90 millimeter, and we took it all apart and carried it up on the other side of the mountain.
Wow.
And we could look straight down into their cave.
Into the cave.
So we waited until they pulled their gun out.
Right.
And we knocked them out, and we were able to get through that valley.
Wow.
So it was,
That must have been a hell of an achievement,
yeah.
especially when they were hitting you and you couldn't do nothing about it.
And by the time, as time went on, the fungus I had gotten in New Guinea
Right.
started to really do a job on me.
Act up on you.
And
huh?
by the time September came around, I could barely walk. So I came home on a hospital ship. Unfortunately, the hospital ship was never meant for ocean use, I'm sure. It was a flat bottom,
Oh my God.
twin screw, and we got stuck in the aftermath of a typhoon, and we have 40, 50-foot waves.
Oh,
That
that must
was
have
like
been
a
fun.
roller coaster.
That must have been fun.
No, it wasn't. I don't think I got out of bed for about 10 days.
Wow.
I was so sick.
Wow.
Because the very, very sick were in the center of the ship.
Right.
And
Well, that's where you
those are
want to be,
less-
in the very center of the ship, right? If it's
Well, that's where the guys that had the fungus had no skin, really.
really.
Yeah, that bad. And the less injured were on either end.
Right, right.
So I was right in the prow. So it was like going up and coming down and going up.
Yep. Yeah. You're looking at the water. You're looking at the sky. You're looking at the water. Right. Yeah.
So it took about 17 days to get home.
Wow. And where was home? Where did you land when you first come home?
We landed in, I think, town called Riverside. Oh,
California.
that's another interesting thing. So got off the ship, and I was in a hospital ward, and all of a sudden we hear this sound like an incoming round of artillery fire. So there were about 9 guys in the...
Would they fall under the bed, crawl
They
under the
rolled off the bed and underneath.
bed? Under the bed, right?
Yeah. And what it was a jet plane. We had never seen a jet or heard of a jet plane.
Well, they didn't have jets until the very end of the war,
Yeah.
right? They were using propeller planes at the early part of the war.
That really frightened the heck out of us.
I can imagine seeing all you guys crawling under the bed, under the mattress, right? Now, how long did they treat you in the hospital for your fungus?
Well, they kept treating me in California when I got off the hospital ship, and they put me on a hospital train and took me to White Silver Springs in West Virginia.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And
That must have been a long ride.
it was
On a train.
4 days.
Yeah, yeah.
And
West Virginia, they didn't do you any favors there.
well, it was a great hospital.
Was it?
Yeah, they had German prisoners as hospital attendants.
Cut it out, really?
Yeah.
Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah.
I'd never heard of that before.
Oh, there was a lot of interesting things. We had cousins who were in the Italian army.
Right,
And they went to prisoners in,
Wow.
I think, in the Carolinas. And they managed their own camp as prisoners. They did their own cooking, their own policing.
Wow.
Yeah. And of course, they didn't want to go home after the war.
No, I'll bet. Because if you don't know it, folks, in World War II, the Italians were on the other side.
Yeah.
Well, listen, why don't we take a little break,
Okay.
all right? And
Be
then
happy.
We'll come back with more.
Terrific. Great.
With Sergeant Tech 4, right?
That's correct.
All right. We'll be right back on An Hour with Bob. Well, folks, we're back on An Hour with Bob, and we're with Tech Sergeant 4.
No, T4.
T4.
They don't
right?
call it a tech sergeant.
Castor, how do you pronounce it?
Castor.
Castor.
Yes.
That's an interesting name. Where does that come
Yeah,
from?
it's probably the short for the Sicilian name, which is Costenzio.
Costendio.
Yeah.
Castor, and you pronounce your last name?
Salemi.
Salemi.
Yes.
Castor Salemi.
Yes.
Well, that's a real Italian name.
Yes, it is. My parents came from Sicily.
Right.
Outside of Palermo is a town called Mondello, and that's probably the area they came from.
Right, right. Now, you've been back to Italy a few times?
Yes.
Yeah?
I've been to Sicily a couple of times.
Yep.
I belong to an organization called Arba Sicula, which is the ancient name for Sicily. And
Well, that's something I never heard before.
It's run by a professor from a university in New York, and he was born in Sicily, and he's the head of the languages department, and he takes a trip to Sicily each year.
Oh, wow.
And takes about 30 people with him.
And where's he from, here?
No, he was born in Sicily.
No, I know that, but where does he live now?
No, he lives in New York.
Oh.
Yeah, Mineola in New York. And what he's been doing is collecting all the dialects from each of the towns in Sicily and making one Sicilian language.
Wow.
And he has published a book now which is being used in university and used as the Sicilian language.
So there's that many different dialects in
Yes,
Italy?
each town has a little bit different dialect.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Just in Sicily alone? But probably the rest of the
Oh,
country too.
rest of Italy too.
Right, right.
Probably not as pronounced
As in Sicily.
because Sicily was invaded by everybody. And
Well, because it's southern.
I mean, on the eastern coast is all Greek, and the western is all Arabic.
Wow.
So you get a mixture of Arabic, Sicilian, English were there, the French were there, everybody was
Sounds like
there.
Malta. Malta was invaded by everybody too,
Everybody,
right?
yeah. So the food is interesting because there's a combination.
I'll bet.
Yeah.
I'll bet. Oh, look, I want to show some of your album here. Your album here is quite extensive and beautiful. It's amazing, first of all, that you got here's your registration card
Yeah.
when you were, what would you say, 20?
21.
21, when you were registered with the military. Let me show this. Here's your registration card, joining the service, right?
Yeah.
Now, did you join or were you drafted?
No, I was drafted. As I say, I was in 1941 and 1941.
Oh, you tried to join.
I tried to join the Navy.
The
and
Navy.
They wouldn't take me. 43, they took anybody who could walk.
Well, yeah, they lost a lot of people from 41 to 43. Look at this handsome dude. Who's this guy?
That's me.
That's you in
Yeah.
1943?
43, yeah.
Yeah. Right after you'd signed up?
Yeah.
Yeah. And you
A
ended
long
up.
time ago.
Yeah, yeah. Now, when you signed up, you were in New York?
New York, yeah.
And did you take a train down to Texas, or did they
We
fly
took a
you?
train. First, we went out to a camp way out on Long Island where they gave us all our shots and all the,
Right, right.
and divided us into wherever they needed us.
Yep.
And they put us on a train.
You're saying they didn't give you a choice, right? They didn't.
No, not a
They
choice.
didn't say.
No, you,
can go
and
here.
you.
Huh?
You, and you.
Yeah. And this is you.
That's
Speaking
me
of
in
you.
Paris, Texas.
Wow.
Took about 5 days to get down there
I'll bet that's a slow train.
on an old rickety train. And, I remember the seats being, the old woven, looked like bamboo seats.
Right.
Yeah,
Wow. You're a pretty sharp, good-looking guy back in the day. Not.
I
that's
was young.
You were young. Well, yeah, we all been there at some point. But you were sharp young.
Yeah,
Now, what's this plane? You're next to an airplane here. What's with that?
that's a Piper Cub, I believe. Yeah, and I just wanted to see what the area looked like, and I went up and he took me for a ride all around
Oh, cool.
in the plane.
Now, this is still.
Now we use the same kind of plane as a spotter in the Philippines
Right.
to see to wherever the enemy was. And,
Sure. Now they use drones.
Yeah, now
They use drones. They don't have to shoot get shot down. Now let's see what we got here that I like. There's a lot of interesting pictures here. Wait a minute. What are we doing on horseback? What's this all about?
Oh, that's.
What's this?
I believe I was on vacation.
Oh, all right. All
Yeah.
right.
Uh,
Vacation where? Where did you vacate? When you were in active duty in the Philippines?
I think
or-
I went to Australia for a visit.
Really?
Yeah.
You know something? I've been 5 continents. I've never been to Australia though.
Oh,
I missed
I've
Australia.
been pretty much all over the world.
Yeah, huh?
Yeah, I've been to New Guinea. I mean to Egypt. I've been to China, France, England, Holland, Italy.
Wow. Well, that was one experience that was good about being in the service, right?
Yeah.
Now, how about your friends coming back after all these years?
That is very interesting. One of the things you learned when you first get into when I first got into the Army, was learning how to be one of the group. Let me put it that way.
Right, right.
You learn to
Not,
to
not to
learn-
isolate yourself.
No, you have to learn to be dependent on other people, and they are going to be dependent on you.
Right.
And when we arrived in Paris, Texas,
So that's
We were
right here.
nine.
This
We
you
were
in the
nine.
barracks, huh?
we were 9 New Yorkers, and the rest were from Georgia, Tennessee, Alabama,
And they had
Florida.
a different accent than you.
Not only that, some of them couldn't read or write. Some of them never wore shoes.
Really?
We used to have to write their letters and read their letters.
Wow.
So you got very close to them that way.
Right.
And of course, then when we were discharged, it was another problem. You
Like
were
how?
you needed the company, which you didn't have. You needed the camaraderie.
Right.
And so we tried to get together as often as we could.
Right.
But
Well, that goes on
Then-
still today with people coming home
Probably,
from
yeah.
the military.
we were young, and at that time, then they, very soon after they were discharged, they started to date and get married, and of course
Right.
everything broke apart at that time.
Sure, sure.
Yeah.
But it was amazing. Can you imagine if it was today with the internet and everything?
Yeah.
It would have been easy to get together
Yeah.
with all your old buddies, right? I know we went through some of these, and I thought I taped things onto these, but I can't find the ones with the tape on them. Not yet, anyway. And you talked about earlier when you were in Papua New Guinea. Now, did you ever go back there? You never went back
No,
there, right?
I have never seen any trips that took veterans
Yeah,
back.
yeah. You don't.
No, I mean,
not a
not
place.
even to the Philippines.
I've never seen any trips that go there. And I've been to Thailand, and I've been to Taiwan.
I've been to Thailand and China.
Yep. And is any one of them you like or dislike better?
No, everywhere I've traveled, people have been very nice.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, I got pictures. I don't want to show these because he's a topless woman over there in Papua New Guinea.
What happened was when the first missionaries got there, they found the women all bare-breasted and just a little grass skirt,
Right.
and they forced them to cover up and wear tops.
Right.
And what happened was they all got fungus under their breasts. And so you had to go back to the old ways.
Right.
Yeah,
So they reverted back, huh?
yeah. But, many of the GIs got fungus on their feet,
Right, like you.
in other places on their body too, wherever that humidity got to them.
Right, right. Yeah, wherever they had an opportunity to grow, right?
Yeah.
Oh, under your arms too, I'll bet.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
So-
here's you swimming. You look pretty sharp there in your swimming outfit there.
Oh,
You must have been on leave or something, or had a day off or something.
and we occasionally ran across some Filipino women, and they'd come, and they'd ask for food if we had any. And
Really?
of course, anything left over we gave them. And
Yep.
so they occasionally came.
Yeah, because
Not very often.
they must have had it real bad,
Yeah, they did.
right?
Yeah.
Especially like Manila was bombed out, right?
Well, that was totally destroyed, yes. Like I say, when we reached Manila, there was very few buildings left standing.
That's so sad. The war is terrible. But now, what is this? What is this picture? This what is that?
Oh, that is called a Lister bag.
A
And
what
it
bag?
contains a Lister,
Oh, sounds like a
Lister.
latrine. Is it a latrine?
No, it's fresh water.
Water.
It's water to drink.
Yep.
So you want to make sure you didn't drink water from the ground or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, where did this water come from? Did the military bring it, or did you use
The
the
military
skillet?
came with tanks and filled them up.
Really?
And if we didn't have that, we had these little pills that we could bring in,
Right.
throw in our canteen,
Yep.
and get water out of a stream.
But because you couldn't drink the water anywhere, right?
No, you couldn't.
In any of those countries.
Yeah.
I mean, I know people tell me you can't even drink water in Italy. Right? Now, this is interesting. This letter. This is about a latrine. Now, what is
Yes.
this about?
There was a colonel, I believe, lieutenant colonel, and
Lieutenant Colonel.
yeah, he came to visit our campsite, and it just so happened that we had been digging to keep the men busy.
Yep.
Because sometimes during the monsoon season, guys would get kind of off kilter. So
Well, it's crazy. Look, and I've been over that area when they have the monsoons.
Yeah.
And it rains so damn hard you've never experienced that.
But it never rained. It just rained every day.
Right.
And so the colonel or the captain would keep us busy, just digging or keep doing anything to keep us from going nuts. So we had dug this humongous latrine, and then this lieutenant colonel came for inspection, and he saw that and wrote this particular letter, but he did it with a little joke in it all the time. It was great.
Considerable attention has been paid to the matter of flies, since it's common knowledge that there is nothing more provoking than flies in the latrine. It is apparent, however, that study and research has revealed that this objectionable feature could be eliminated by using the latrine. Only at meal times, as at that time the flies are all over the kitchen. I like that.
Yeah.
Now this picture is where?
Oh, that's our initial campsite in New Guinea.
Wow. Now I'm surprised. It looks like it's in a valley.
Well, it was a kind of a plateau.
Was it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I know normally the military,
Yeah.
you like to be on the high point, right?
Yeah.
And here's a good one here too. I like this. Battalion camp in Papua New Guinea. Right? That's you?
Yeah.
You and your friends?
My friends, yes. One of my really close friends is called Bob McCann. He just died about 4 years ago.
Really?
The last of the World War II veterans. I don't know of any of my outfit that's still living.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. That's all right. Here we are in January 1945 in the Philippines.
Yes.
Right? This is your Philippine album.
Yes.
Right? Let's see what we got here. Oh, first off, the money. This money, this dollar.
It's a dollar bill. We're dollar bill issued by the Philippine government, but it was an American dollar.
It looks an awful lot like an American
Yeah.
dollar. It looks like the
But
old.
they use American dollars.
Yeah, and it's legit because it says American
Yes.
right on it. It says
Yep.
USA, United States
And
of America.
that's what we were paid with.
So the money was good even after you left there?
Yeah. Well, no, we didn't have any after.
You used
Got
it
left.
all up, right?
Yeah.
Because this looks an awful lot like the old silver certificates, the
Yeah.
$1 bills. And here we are. Now, what do you got here? Who are these pictures here?
Oh, they're Filipino women that used to come to the camp when looking for food.
You said that, yeah.
Yeah.
Huh? That's very sad, huh?
Yeah,
That
but they were very nice women. Yeah.
Yeah.
So whenever we had extra left over, we would give it to them. One time, the cook ran out of cooking oil,
Yep.
and so he just said that we should go out and see if we can find any wild pigs. And
Well, there you go.
we got
There's
a
your cooking oil, right?
truckload of guys with their guns went out, and they found a pig, and they brought it back, and the cook surrendered the pig and got all the fat off the pigs,
Right.
and then we gave the rest back to the Filipinos.
Oh, that was nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now here's you with a couple guys all with your helmet on and your gun.
Yeah. I don't remember that one.
All right. Well, I got one you will remember. These are pictures that you found on.
We had a big battle in a town called Tugigarao up in central Luzon.
Right.
And
Luzon in the Philippines.
Yes. And after the battle was over, we were assigned to dig a big trench and kind of get all the dead Japanese that were laying around
Right.
and put them in the trenches and bury them.
Right.
But we were given very strict orders. We were not to mutilate any of the bodies. It was a court-martial offense if they caught you.
Really?
Yes.
Well, that's good actually.
Yeah. And so I just looked in one of the soldiers' pockets, and I found those pictures.
Wow. That's a picture of a Japanese soldier and another picture of two family members, it
Yeah.
looks like, right? Beautiful. And then you got the Japanese flag there, the sun. You got some great pictures here. Unfortunately, we can't show them all, but we'll show a bunch of them. Now, these are all Filipino women again.
Yeah.
That was in May of 1946. 1946. Before I was born.
May of 46?
That's what it says.
Then they're not Filipino.
No, they're not. You're absolutely right. May of 46. Yep. I'm sorry, I got to apologize, by the way. I had eye surgery 2 days ago in my eyes. I'm not focusing real well. Oh, this is, I didn't mark these, but these are pictures from, as you said, the Philippines. The destruction in the Philippines.
I took those pictures.
Number 9, yeah.
Yes.
You took all these pictures.
Yes, I took all. The Japanese that would take their guns, big guns, and shoot out the bottom floors of tall buildings.
Right.
And the whole building would collapse. And that's just destroyed everything, every building that they could see standing, they destroyed.
Kind of like what they're doing over in the Russians are doing.
Yeah, in Ukraine.
Here, Ukraine. Now, who did the artwork on these pictures? Do you know?
I don't know who did the artwork,
But it's beautiful.
but they were given to us in the Philippines. I've never seen anybody else with them.
Yeah, I mean, that's perfect
Yeah.
artwork. I mean, it's beautiful. Now, have you ever been back to the Philippines? You ever go
No,
back there?
I've never seen a trip back to there.
No?
Nobody's offered any. Yeah.
Oh, my God. And here you are again. This is in Paris, Texas. This is before you
Before
ventured on.
ventured on, yes.
Ventured on to the Pacific, right?
Right.
Before you went to the Pacific.
Long time ago.
It sure is, huh? How many years ago was that now? 70, 80 years ago? Yeah, 80, yeah, about 80
Yeah.
years ago. Sure, 80 years ago, 81 years ago. Wow. That's pretty amazing. pretty amazing that I get to talk to you is what it is. Now, I do have, I want to show these two pictures first. This is pretty cool. This is you. Now, where did this picture come from? Didn't somebody send you that on the internet?
Could be.
You've been photographed a lot.
Been photographed a lot, yes.
And here you are again. There you are again, in uniform, and there's your gun.
Yep, it's a 105 battery.
105.
In fact,
Go ahead.
one of the things with that 105, when we had to fire, Japanese would always get up on the mountaintops
Of
and
course.
fire down.
Sure.
And so to fire one of those to reach them, you'd have to put the barrel in almost a vertical.
Almost perpendicular.
But when it recoils, you'd have to make a well for the recoil to go below ground.
Right.
Come back down. So that was a very, very nice weapon. I mean, it was mobile. You could tow it with a Jeep.
Right.
And very effective.
And as you corrected me, the offer that the Hauser was a bigger gun, right? It was a
It was a
155.
155.
155.
That was called a long tom.
Right.
And that would fire a straight trajectory. The howitzer would do a loping trajectory.
Right, because the 155 had a longer barrel, so it could fire for
Yeah.
a longer distance, right?
Yeah, it was a bigger bullet.
Bigger round.
Yeah.
Bigger round. All right, quickly, we're just about done, but I got to ask you a question here. I understand you got nailed for running a red light a while back.
Oh, yes.
And you went before our good friend Judge Caprio.
Yes.
What happened there?
Well, it was a snow. It had snow that week, and there was a lot of snow, and I had to go to the courthouse,
Right.
and I had gotten this ticket, and it said to appear in the courthouse, and so for passing a red light, and of course I don't remember going past the red
Right,
light.
yeah.
The intersection there is a little confusing at times. Anyway, I got to the courthouse, but the parking lot was full of snow, and it said $5 to park. There was nobody there. I parked the car, and then another man came with his truck, and he said, "You going to the courthouse?" I said, "Yeah." He says, "Well, it's not here. It's around the corner."
Oh.
So he said, "I'll take you over," because there was still about 5 or 6 inches of snow on the ground.
Right.
So he drove me over, and I was met at the door by a trooper. And he says, "What are you here for?" I said, "I got a ticket." And he says, "Well, you can pay at the window over there." And I
Yep.
says,
I'm
"No,
not
no, no."
paying.
I said, "I don't want to pay the ticket. I want to go before the judge."
Yep.
And he said, "Oh, don't do that." He says, "I'll pay for you." I said, "No, I want to go before the judge."
Exactly.
So I sat in a courtroom. It was empty because I was early, and he was late. And when he came in, and I was the first one, he called up, and I explained to him that I didn't realize that I had passed a red light, and I had never gotten a ticket in my life.
Wow. And you were how old then? 99 or 100 or what?
I was 100.
You were 100 years old. That was your first ticket.
Yeah. And,
So what did he do?
Well, he says, "I can't give you a ticket." And so I had to explain to him who I was and where I was from.
Wow.
Yeah.
That ended that one.
And since that time, he's written a book,
Right.
Judge Caprio, and he's got me in his book.
Wow.
And I've met him a couple of times since
Yeah.
at various functions.
Well, we got to wrap it up. Can you believe you spent an hour with Bob?
Oh, my goodness.
You believe that one went,
No.
that hour went by, didn't it?
It's a pleasure being here.
It's
talking to you.
It's my pleasure to have. It's my honor, I should say.
Thank
to have you come here.
Thank you.
And I thank you very much for your service.
It's a pleasure.
And folks, thank you for spending an hour with Bob. And Castor,
Thank you.
until next time, see you.